Hello everyone, Cheek here with another Transformers review, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers 1986 style G1 Perceptor, as well as the original, style. It's a reissue from the Blaster pack that I got a decent amount of time ago. And I realized I never actually reviewed him, so I'm going to go ahead and do both of them at the same time. Get a 2-for-1 deal in this case. On this beautiful morning, you can see the sun glinting off of the chrome on this Perceptor, and you can see just the silver paint and then a lot of gray plastic of that Perceptor. They both look pretty good in their own right, although I do wish the gray plastic on this guy was painted more silver like it is on this tray. This Perceptor, like I said, I've had for a decent amount of time. Downside is there is a little bit of wear on some of the chrome bits on him and fingerprints that never seem to go away, no matter how hard you seem to try, because as soon as you touch it again by accident, it's just coated in fingerprints. But he is a little bit looser because he is a bit older, and this one is pretty much brand new. They've got the same amount of metal, it's just he looks a little cheaper, and like he doesn't have as much because less, like no chrome, and also less stickers, or no stickers actually, and just less going on. But he is tune accurate color wise. Face, still the same original Perceptor face. And as you can see, this guy is still, he's pretty loose, so he that tends to just flop around. I'm sure he'll get to this point. As you can see, it's already starting to do it just a little bit. Fortunately, on this copy, it doesn't seem to have the same issue, but for whatever reason, this one's always been a little warped. I don't think I did that. I think it just happened naturally. The colors are very similar. He's more of a maroon type red. He's a bright red. And instead of a turquoise green color, he's just a light powder blue, I do believe, or color similar to that. Yeah, and they, other than that, they're pretty much identical. The guns are the same, both non-firing, except for whatever reason, this one seems to be glued in the open position. I'm sure I could take it apart to see what's actually preventing it. It could be glue, could be something else, but what's interesting though, the red color is a little bit different on this one. It doesn't match this one, but it's also not as bright as the red on this reissue, or other reissue Perceptor. They both do have functioning microscope parts, except if it might be hard to see, but if you look at the reflection, this one, you can tell it's actually meant to be used like a microscope. I have used it in the past, don't know if it still works properly, but as it did come with these slides, which I think is so cool. I don't know if I can get them to show up well on camera, but let's go ahead and get them out and take a look at them. I do believe that is, I really don't know what that's supposed to be, but it looks like maybe a sample of something. And then, let's see, looks like an assembly line of some kind, and then looks like might be a map or an artifact of some kind. It would be better if it was in a microscope. But obviously, even if it is functioning properly, I'm not going to really be able to show it off. Okay, and then I guess, I don't know, maybe someone's maybe like a cell or something, like a Transformer cell. And then it looks like maybe like a robot neuron, who knows. And then a schematic for Optimus Prime, and that's pretty much all of those. So yeah, that's about it for the slides and slide holder, which can also be plugged on the back. If you'll see that there's this 3 little plugs that go into this right here. Okay, wrong side, so I guess I need to rotate this over, but it's always on this side in the cartoon, so I don't know why they like it to have it on the other side on the toy, but just goes on his back like that. It looks really goofy, but it is something that you can do. And sometimes the side wheels tend, or I guess adjustment knobs tend to pop off. So far it hasn't really happened yet on him. I just might need to do something to tighten those up. But going back to the slides thing, the point I was trying to make is that if you look at the magnifying glass, you can see that this one is clear and this one is foggy, which means that in a sense he is cheaper than the original reissue, because this one was meant to be used like an actual microscope, whereas this one, it does have the mechanism, it does move in and out, and it even says on the instructions, it shows like an eye, like looking through the, through here, but it's just so foggy, you can't make out anything at all. I mean, I doubt you'll be able to make anything out from here, but you can, as you can see, looking through that, you can actually see the back of the box, whereas looking through here, you can kind of sort of see it just looks a little foggier. Like this one's sharp, you can actually see the shape of the cardboard a little bit. It's not going to really be able to focus on it, but it's just, this one's so cloudy, the image, it's bad. But I mean, it's a good thing I didn't get him with the express purpose of using him as a microscope, because, well, I already have one that does that. And also, if I really want a microscope, I just buy a little microscope somewhere and maybe do it in Perceptor colors, if that's even a thing. And for comparison, because I have reviewed this guy in the past, we have the Studio Series 86 Perceptor, which I still haven't checked to see if a third party made an alternate head for him, because I hate that face so much. And also, as you can see, that is a bit loose. Not super loose, but loose enough to where it's like he has a tendency to not stay in his normal standing up position. As you can see, he is significantly smaller. I mean, not hugely smaller, but enough to where it's like he is definitely smaller. Obviously, does not have all the metal parts. He does have metal pins and stuff, but that's pretty much it as far as metal is concerned on that guy. Since these are larger G1 style figures, I'll go ahead and show off the articulation real quick. The head obviously does not really have any articulation. It does go up and down. I better be careful of that, or else it's going to start dropping like the original ones tend to. But the arms can pretty much do a full 360, except for the side that the scope is on. You don't get any bicep rotation, but you do get about 90 bend at the elbow. Of course, there's no wrist rotation, but I mean, as far as what you need for most figures, especially from this era, you don't really need too much to at least get them to hold their gun straight up, pretty much. There is nothing at the waist, obviously, but legs can go out. You can do the splits. You do get thigh rotation, which is pretty cool, although obviously because of the way it's shaped, it puts his legs out to the side, but I'm sure you can probably get away with that a little bit and still have him stand. And then if you don't want to do that, you can also get a little bit of knee rotation, so you can still have his legs without that perfectly straight. Then you get about 90 degree bend at the knee, and then you can bend his toes if you want, but that's not really going to help much with like posability. Autobot, Perceptor, Function, Scientist. One's ultimate truth lies in one's molecular structure. Perceptor is often the first to observe distinct tactical deficiencies in the face of danger. However, his complicated vocabulary often requires a translation. Strength 7, Intelligence 10. Speed is a much lower 2, which makes sense. He's a microscope. Firepower 8, because I guess he also turns into a tank. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Also, that is the face that they should have given Studio Series Perceptor, because he smiles a lot more than he frowns. And I think I've prattled on long enough, so let's go ahead and get them into microscope modes. And here we have them in their lovely microscope modes, and I think they look really cool. Obviously, he is more cartoon accurate, although they might have gotten more silver color than gray, but I'm not sure exactly, on the animation model and all that. But I must say that as far as looking like an actual microscope, potentially real world microscope, this one looks better because of all the chrome. But also all the chrome is a liability, at least long term, but it does look really cool. And then of course, here you can just set the little sample tray on top. And if I remember my microscope knowledge correctly, this is supposed to be a mirror, because this would be not a non-powered microscope, and then the mirror would catch the light and then reflect it beneath and through the sample tray, which would then allow you to see it. Obviously, most modern microscopes have their own light source, which I presume Perceptor would, and in that case it probably wouldn't be a mirror, it'd be just a light. Obviously, since this is not chrome, it would not work very well in that regard. But then again, like I said, lens doesn't even work. It's not even, it's so foggy. This one, I did test it out, and it didn't work the greatest, but I mean, what you could see was pretty clear. Anyway, for comparison, here we have the Studio Series Perceptor, and I must say, out of the three, the two on either side look significantly better, because there is such a gap right here between the scope and the arms, and it just looks weird, if you ask me. I know that this is to get more accurate proportions for robot mode, but I must say these look better in like that. So I think it might be a good idea to show off the third mode that I don't know if it was in the original G1 instructions. It's not in the instructions for him, and I don't know if I have the instructions for him anymore, or him and Blaster, so I don't know if it had the third mode, because if you look closely on either side of them, on this side they do have treads. Here are their tank modes, and they look pretty cool and also goofy at the same time. I really do like this mode that is from the original toy line that they came from. It has nothing really to do with Transformers, but I think it's so cool. Obviously, if you want to make it look a little more like a tank, you could remove the side knobs, but you're perfectly fine just to leave them there. They do have wheels to allow them to roll, which I think is pretty cool. And I know I've seen other people have them transform differently. Like I said, you can take off the knobs. I've also seen them transformed with both of them like that. But, I mean, if it's just him in like a turret mode or telescope mode, however you want to say it, for in-universe, it might make sense for him to transform like that. But as far as being an actual turret, I think this focus on there is like this, is that if you view this as like the back of a seat, and then you'd have something or someone sitting in here, it would make more sense for it to be like this. And I just think that that's really cool. And I think it's funny to leave the knobs there, because it's like, if you're thinking about it being a life-size microscope that transforms, and then there's little pilots for them, I think it's just really hilarious for there to be a little tank piloted by a tiny little person or machine. And then one final comparison, let's go ahead and bring in the Studio Series 1, which also has this mode, although it definitely does have it capable, because it does have little tabs for it to hold into place like this, although it does look a little dinky, but it's still cool nonetheless that they decided to include it. Overall, I think the original is a little bit better. But as far as having one that's a little more tune accurate, I think that's also pretty nice, especially if you do not want to destroy the chrome and you want to have something that you can feel comfortable with playing with a little bit more. I think that's what the 86 cartoon one is a little bit better for. But man, are they both so cool. I do love that they're both technically working microscopes, although the newer one isn't as good at it. And but yeah, I definitely highly recommend getting the reissue one, especially if you don't care about the, not reissue, but the 86 style one, if you really don't care too much about a working, functioning microscope, and you don't want to mess with the chrome. And it is a lot cheaper, I'd imagine. But that's about it for Transformers G1 reissue and 86 reissue Perceptor. And if you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. And until next time, have a good one, everyone.